This episode of Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 source of games and gaming accessories, and by GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source of Magic the Gathering news and articles. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com here with another episode of Playing on a Budget. This week we are going to be piloting a green-white Auras deck, Hexproof Auras deck, as suggested by a number of fans who wanted to see a budget version of this, as the Naya version is actually competing quite well in Standard at the moment. So before we go over that though, we'll load this up on CoolStuffInc.com to see how much this deck will cost, and it is going to run us right around $100. But before that, I'd like to give the fans a little bit of a request here. We have a voting process for Magic Online Community Cup. Some of you may have heard of this before. It's the 2014 Community Cup. What they do is they give invites out to people that have been involved in the Magic Online community, and it's a fun little experience. They fly you out to Wizards headquarters, and you're able to compete against the designers of Magic the Gathering. And last year I was very, very disappointed because there was an actual competition in the, you do a series of different competitions competing in different formats and whatnot, but there was a rogue format. Basically, they gave a pool of cards that you had to use and make a rogue deck or just a theme-based deck, and I was very disappointed with what the competitor players actually were able to create out of their rogue pool. So this year, I'd like to give you guys the chance to vote me in. I would love to represent the Magic Online community, especially the Rogue community and the fans of Gathering Magic, and actually fly out to Wizards and smash some face, and they'll actually have a competitive Roger on the team this time rather than just a bunch of spikes, and maybe I'll be able to represent the Johnnies and the Brewers, and yeah, have a good time. So if you're interested in that, you can nominate me by going to thewizards.com. You can actually just search for the Community Cup, and then there's a little link that you can click here, and what you do is you put the name of the nominee in the subject, and then the reason why you're nominating this person. If you want to nominate someone else besides me, go ahead and do so. There's some excellent content producers on Magic the Gathering. I'm a big part of the YouTube community, and we have some great, like the Mana Source and Magic Man Sam and Mr. Lufubu. I mean, there's just plenty of people on the Magic Online community that deserve it as well. So if you'd rather have them, feel free to go into the nominee and nominate them to represent the Community Cup. So anyway, just a little bit of shameful self-promotion there, and we'll get back to the Playing on a Budget episode. So anyway, I'm going to load this up in Cool Stuff Inc. So this deck is going to cost us, I've got us right around $900 or $99.79, so right under our budget. And how I did that is I had to skip out on some Temple of Plenties. So we're running 4 Temple Gardens and 1 Temple of Plenty. And then everything else in here is very, very inexpensive. So again, it's just going to be the land base that's expensive, such as Standard right now. Actually, Standard's very inexpensive at the moment. This is one of the least expensive Standards I can remember in a long time. So very, very good time to be playing on a budget. So we also have our most expensive card, most expensive rare, would be Fiendslayer Paladin at $4. There's going to be 2 of these in the main board and 2 in the sideboard. And then we have Witchstalker at our next highest price at $3. So again, $3 for the Witchstalkers, $1 a piece for the Unflinching Courage, and the Boon Satyrs are $1.75, and then the Banishing Lights are $2.49. So anyway, if you cut out the mana base here, and in this deck, it wouldn't be nearly as necessary in like Naya, the Naya Hexproof version. You really need to fix your mana base as best as possible. But I mean, you can actually skip out on the Temple Gardens and Temple of Plenties and just play like Selesnya Guildgates and then just a bunch of just basic lands, and you can get this down another, what? Yeah, another $50. So this deck could be built for $50. For all the pieces. So anyway, let's load this up on MTGO. So again, Hexproof, the idea behind Hexproof is just to put a bunch of enchantments on one creature and go for the win. I'm creating a little bit of a different Hexproof deck. This is going to have a bit of control, a few pumps, and then the best Auras that we have available. One of the reasons why they go the Naya build is you have access to Gorklan Rampager, Madcap Skills, and Boros Charm. So you can do some really nifty combat tricks with adding red in there by giving your guy double strike, and then after attackers you can actually Gorklan Rampager for +4/+4. So we don't have access to that, of course, because we're just 2 colors. But again, our mana base should be a lot more consistent, as we're going to be able to consistently get out our 1 and 2 and 3 drops without having any issues if it comes into play tap lands. That comes into play tap lands we're using is just 2 Selesnya Guildgates and a Temple of Plenty. And then mostly forests, because most of our deck is going to be green. and double green at that, and then the rest we're going to fill up with plains. So it's 23 lands and 18 creatures. Boon Satyr kind of acts as both an enchantment and a creature. Most of the time you're going to want to bestow this. You're going to want to hold this in your hand. One thing I do like about Boon Satyr is you can flash an end of turn, and then you can throw on like an Unflinching Courage, and if they don't have any blockers, you get in for 6 lifelink. The only problem with Boon Satyr is they are very, very vulnerable in this deck, as your opponent's can have a ton of dead cards that cannot target your other guys, and then so they'll have all that ammo for the Boon Satyr when you do decide to cast it. Another thing I do like about Boon Satyr is in the mono black version, after they do Devour Flesh and you have this on a guy, you'll still have a 4/2 beater. So the enchantments I've decided to run in this list is, of course, 4 Ethereal Armors, so the best enchantment in Standard right now, and then 4 Unflinching Courages, and then 3 Trollhide. So we don't have a lot of ways to pump up our guys, but we're just going to try to have this Hexproof get us through. And then we have the Banishing Lights, which is going to act as our control card, and then Selesnya Charm is going to act as a utility card. Very good in the format right now because you can exile Desecration Demons, you can exile Pelucranoses, anything that is power 5 or greater, you can get rid of it, and still you can have that kind of flash effect to put in a 2/2 white knight creature. This, again, is a very, very good card because it protects your creatures against Devour Flesh, because you can just throw in the white the knight token and then sack it for the Devour Flesh. And the 2/2 trample will actually come into effect quite a bit when they try to chump block. So again, you're going to get trampled through the Unflinching Courage, but Selesnya Charm is kind of a backup there. In our sideboard, we have Ajani's Presence to help against Supreme Verdicts. We have, and this could go God's Willing if you're actually worried about detentions. Well, Detention Sphere actually can't do anything against your guy. So I think that Ajani's Presence is just above and beyond God's Willing. And then this is, people might question this. I've got 6 1-drops. This is for the mono black list that are running Devour Flesh. You bring in the Dryad Militants and Favored Hoplites, and these are just going to do some early damage, and then they're just going to protect your Hexproof guys from the Devour Fleshes. That's their sole purpose there. So the real one you want to use here is, of course, the Voice of Resurgence, but that will put us way above budget. So to keep this into a budget deck, I'm going to run the Dryad Militants and the Favored Hoplites. These could be the 2/1 multicolored protection guys. Soldier of Pantheons, if you don't want to run those instead of Favored Hoplites. But again, we were right at the budget list, so I had to just include, uncommons and commons and not put us over the budget. I've got 2 of Gift of Orzhova to bring it against the aggressive matchups. I'm debating whether to just put these in against Trollhide, but the mana base for double white is a little inconsistent, so I thought I'd just go with Trollhide. Plus, Regenerate on Trollhide is pretty big because you can actually erase the Supreme Verdict. So you can chuck this on 3rd turn, and if you're on the play, then it'll take them another turn to actually Supreme Verdict, and then you'll have the Regenerate mana up. Then we have Holy Mantle against like any big-time creature-based decks. This can just win you the game, just a 1-of. And then we have 2 Ordeal of Heliods because burn still is a big threat in the format, and if you resolve an Ordeal of Heliod and get that 10 life, a lot of decks just cannot come back from that. So that's the basis of the deck here. There are a few other cards you could go more enchantments. The thing is, like, Madcap Skills would be the enchantment you want to go, and of course that is in the red. And I didn't really see many other auras that were very good. I mean, I just go up more on the Gift of Orzhova. I mean, this is the only thing that you can go Eidolon of Countless Battles, but it's 4 mana, and in this type of deck, Eidolon of Countless Battles usually makes like a 2/2, +2/+2. Sometimes you have an Ethereal Armor, it's +3/+3. So it's very underwhelming for 3 mana. Let's pull up some auras here. So the auras that we have access to, again, are not that great. I flirted with Mortal Obstinacy. It's so good in block, but I don't think there's enough enchantments that are actually worth. Well, there's like Courser of Krufix, there is Underworld Connections, there's Opposing Banishing Lights, and so maybe Mortal Obstinacy would be a good one to throw on, but you have to sacrifice it, which with what you're trying to do with Ethereal Armor doesn't seem right. So all there just really isn't any good 1 casting cost enchantments. I mean, I guess Forced Adaptation, but it's just really slow. And then you're getting into the 2-drop. And again, Ordeal of Nylea doesn't really go on this deck. Divine Favor, no. Mortal Investigation. We have the Heliods. I mean, you could go Pacifisms as more removal, but I don't think you need it. So Blessing is kind of cool, but it's something we'd want in a heavy white deck. Feral Invocation, this is one you could flirt around with, but I think Trollhide is just much better. And now we're into 3, which is getting quite pricey to actually, throw on in a creature. So anyway, I think this is the best that we have to do with just the green-white Auras deck. So wish me luck. We'll queue this up in some 2-mana queues. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.